Hello everyone, I hope that you are all doing well today and enjoying your long weekend. It is Apex here with another video. Today I'm going to be covering the major market sectors as well as 8 stocks that I think have some excellent technical setups for possible upside continuation. But before I begin, I must start by saying none of what you hear or see today is financial advice. You should always do your own research and never follow anyone blindly. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So today we'll start off by looking at SPY. So SPY, like I've said for a number of videos now, is ranging within this beautiful channel here. I had originally drawn the upper trend line to incorporate these pockets of price action, but now that we're kind of up and over it, extend the channel to include this pivot and this pivot here. You can see the bottom is pretty well respected, 4 points of confluence, breakdown, fake breakout, and continuation to the upside. So we are looking for potential resistance coming up around the 395, 400 range, depending on how long it takes us to get to that upper trend line. But ultimately, the bulls need to break Friday's high of 392.90 in order to get continuation up to that level. And we have this small little daily pivot here at 387.50, which I don't love. I do much prefer some more defined pullbacks as opposed to just these little hourly wicks. So zooming in on the hourly chart, we had noted the V-shaped recovery. We made one pullback to 380.48, and then we were just very extended. We did make a bit of a double bottom equilibrium type play here last week, and then we had a nice breakout with great volume coming in at the end of Friday. So we will likely see continuation of that upper trend line before any pullback from here, but ultimately the hourly bulls need to hold that 387.50 level, which does correlate well with the mid-range of the channel as of right now. So SPY bulls in full control. The dollar made a bit of a bear flag here, and we're starting to see a little bit of continuation to the downside. So if the bulls lose that 90.1 level, that'll be very telling and very positive for the asset bulls. Ultimately, we had seen the dollar bulls get some good follow through, but when the assets just continued on their melt up, all the bulls left this position, and now it appears that we are rolling back over to the downside. So keep an eye on that 90.1 level. QQQ, once the computer loads. So again, lots of strength. The bulls did make a bit of a daily pullback, hourly pullback. I don't really like these brief wick pullbacks. I do much prefer notable consolidation, notable pullbacks where bulls buy the dip as opposed to just such bullishness that we dip and we rip right away. But nonetheless, ultimately, bulls need to break 336.62 to continue the upside continuation, running around to that, or running near that 340 psychological level. So look for resistance around that. And then ultimately, the bulls need to defend 329.50. Zooming in on the hourly chart here, similar to SPY, as I've noted before, made a strong hourly impulse, brief pullback, another hourly impulse, brief pullback. This looks a little bit better on the hourly chart here. We have that clearly defined pivot level, 329.50. So look for the hourly bulls to defend that at all costs. If we lose that, look for daily consolidation to ensue. We do need, again, on QQQ and on SPY, we need to make sizable continuation from that pivot low for it to mean something for me. So if we do see that continuation on QQQ up to 340 and SPY up to say 395 up to the upper trend line, that will give me a lot of confluence that this pivot level is notable and important. But if we lose it now, then that brief short-term daily pullback is likely to ensue. IWM may be making a bit of a bull flag here, strong daily impulse wave to the upside and brief consolidation here. Notable inside bar on Friday, so look for the high of 227.74, the low at 224.64 to break for directional confluence. Ultimately, similar to the other major markets, we have a brief pullback, pivot at 223.42, and the bulls need to break 230.32 in order to see more continuation. Next psychological pivot on IWM will be that 235 level, then to 240. So keep an eye when price gets to those levels. Zooming in on the hourly chart, same story, strong hourly impulse waves, very little pullback. We had a bit of a loss of the hourly uptrend, but we regained it, or at least we're about to regain it. Kind of regain it. I don't know. It's a weird setup here. The hourly bulls are looking for a lower high here, so we might see a little bit of a pullback, defend that 223.42, and then break this pivot high. Or if the trend continues, we'll just V-shape and move up to all-time highs, which is a very likely possibility. Lots of good bull volume here on the hourly chart for IWM. So that will be the major market sectors. All in all, still very bullish. Brief pullback, so we do need to see more upside continuation and running into some psychological resistance levels into the upcoming week, but I would expect more upside from here. So now we'll go over the tickers that I am watching today, or this week I should say. So throw on the EMAs and get right into it. So SUNW is the first stock that I was looking at for this upcoming week. Beautiful pattern here. We have a strong impulse wave to the upside, brief pullback, holding that 21 EMA, lower high, higher low. We're looking for more continuation to the upside. Now, what does this pattern look like? It looks identical to EH before it broke out. Strong impulse wave, held that 21, lower high, higher low, and then huge breakouts. SUNW looks identical to that. It looks very similar to Pola too. So we're seeing strong impulse wave up, held the 21 EMA, higher low. We did touch the 21 EMA on this stock, but we are looking for that continuation to the upside. So all in all, SUNW looks very, very similar to a lot of stocks that are setting up bullishly or have broken out bullishly, but this is just a time and tested equilibrium pattern that is very bullish. So I will expect continuation to the upside. So zooming in on like the fundamental aspect of SUNW, first off, it obviously is a solar company. My outlook on solar is extremely bullish. Like solar is the future. That is what is replacing non-renewable energy sources. So I think that any stock in the solar sector or renewable energy sector for that matter with a good reputation is trading at a discount right now. Anytime it sets up bullishly, you should definitely consider buying. So looking at more of the technical aspect, like I said, we had that equilibrium that looks very similar to a lot of good bullish patterns and sectors out there. And we can look at the massive amount of accumulation volume that's been set over the last several months since November. We have increasing volume, consistently having bull beats, especially in this consolidation, which I love to see. We pull back, we have some red days, always declining red volume, but we have massive upticks in bull volume as well. So really like to see this from a volume perspective. That shows me there's a lot of institutional ownership, a lot of big money, a lot of smart money is trading this name. So what am I looking for an entry here? So I'll zoom in on the PowerPoint. You guys get to see it a little bit early. Well, I guess actually you're probably seeing it now, so it's relevant. But like I said, it's a strong equilibrium pattern holding above the 20 EMA. And what I'm looking for is a 15-minute trend change for an entry. So zoom in on the 15-minute chart. So I have my EMA, it's coded so that it always shows the daily EMA, which is the one that I am paying attention to. So we can see that we had a little bit of a bull break earlier. That's the lower high being set. And what was interesting here is we have an impulse wave to the upside, higher low, and then we see that higher high explosion trend change as we're holding above this 21 EMA. So that's notable. I typically like to wait till the touch of the EMA before entering, but when price can hold above it and show me that bulls are not surrendering these levels, that's a very telling indication. Now price has declined a little bit more to a closer level of the EMA, but what we're looking for is that 15-minute trend change nonetheless. So we have a high up to 1909, kind of ranging. So I will look for that break of 1910 in order to confirm that 15-minute trend change for an entry. But SUNW looks very good right now. Targets are looking up at the 35-40 level based off the Fibonacci extensions, and I'm very confident that we can reach those. SEOUL, so this is another renewable energy sector. I will pull up the fundamental outlook here. Okay, so it is a leading international manufacturer and supplier of green energy products. We can see here they're in solar, LED, a lot of good renewable energy affiliations, which I love to see, obviously, in this sector. So it is well positioned to provide the highest quality green energy products on time services for EPC installers and green energy projects around the world. So looks very exciting, very enticing. Anything, like I said, in the green energy sector is very telling for potential bullish entry. And what we see here is a great holy grail type setup on SEOUL. So we have a strong impulse wave to the upside, pull back to the 21 EMA. We bounced low, like we had a uninspiring bounce, I will call it, but we're making a higher low. So hopefully we can see this W pattern continue to the upside. And we can see here on the chart, lots of good bull volume overall. We do have this red node here, but it's actually a green candle. So I have my volume switched to, come on. I have my volume switched to the color based on previous close. So when you turn that around, obviously it skews the data a little bit, you can say, but we do see that there is a tremendous amount of bull volume at this particular price range and on the stock overall. So what I am looking for here on SEOUL, obviously it has good fundamentals, holy grail setup, holding that 21 EMA, high bull volume. So I'm looking for that 15-minute trend change yet again. So this 15-minute trend change is something that I've really liked integrating into my style. And you can see here how it works so well. So we had that massive pullback coming down, and we get a 15-minute trend change right around the 21 EMA. So we have the low, lower high, higher low, and the break, 15-minute trend change over that pivot. That's a good potential entry. Nice how price is lower than the 21 EMA. Something that I'm realizing is when price looks bearish, we are looking for bullish entries, right? That old Warren Buffett saying, what is it? Buy when others are fearful, sell when others are greedy. Essentially, price breaks the 21 EMA. People are fearful. We get a bullish pattern, a bullish trend change. That's the entry. We have another one here with a low to 1906, a high of 2145, higher low, and break of that upper pivot, confirming that 15-minute trend change. Another great entry. Now, we missed those particular entries, but here we have price action still consolidating on the 21 EMA so beautifully. You can see all those interactions getting bought up, and we have another potential 15-minute trend change here. So we did have one. We had the low, higher low, lower high, sorry, higher low, and then a break of the pivot. So the potential trend change was there, but now we are seeing a good bull move coming off the 21 EMA. So if we pull back a little bit here, hopefully we do get a break of that pivot high. That could be another 15-minute trend change. But buying in these levels, I mean, it's relatively safe in terms of trading. And I use that term very loosely, but yeah, it's a relatively safe area to buy here. So I'll be looking for continuation around these pivots, any pivot low looking to buy into. But placing an entry here is very good considering the overall technicals of the stock and the company. And so my target for this one is $40 to $50. You can see the Fibonacci extension is right around 41, 45 area there. So continuation of the upside, that's a pretty big move. Probably will look to take profit off right below 35, maybe around 34.50. But I do think it could get to that 40 area based off of all the volume and the technicals. Next stock on the docket, ALDX. So ALDX, it's an equilibrium setup. Actually, I'll jump into the technicals as per usual here, so I'll delete some of this. So ALDX, it's a pioneer in the development of medicines to improve the lives of patients with immune-medicated diseases. I found a better definition of it here. So it's a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on the development of novel therapies with the potential to improve the lives of patients with immune-mediated diseases. Today announced the finalization. So it had a little bit of bullish news on February 4th. So it announced the finalization of phase 3 drug. So a lot of bullishness. Hopefully that this can be released. I believe that's the protocol, right? You go to phase 3 and then the FDA approves it. But nonetheless, bullish news on a bullish company, it's an exciting company overall. So the clinical stage biotech is the fundamentals, and we can see that there's a lot of bullish institutional ownership in the stock, right? We have these massive bull volume nodes, and again, very similar to SUNW, even Pola, right? We have this strong impulse wave to the upside, higher low, lower high, higher low, and now we're seeing continuation to the upside. But we have this massive bull volume accumulation, and anytime we get any red, it's always declining and surpassed by bullish volume nodes. So this is, textbook technical analysis here. There's a lot of institutional ownership, a lot of excitement about this company, and it's obviously in a bullish pattern. So considering all that, we'll zoom in on the 15-minute chart. So this is kind of what I am looking for. So looking for a breakout over 1320, 1350 area here. Now, we missed the ideal 15-minute trend change entry. This is obviously me cherry picking the perfect entry, so look for this in price action, because this is what I look for on these holy grail setups. But ultimately, these are cherry picked, and it's never as perfect and never as easy as this. But we do have a 15-minute trend change here, which could have been a good entry. We do see substantial bull volume coming into that zone, obviously insinuating that there is a tremendous amount of upside potential in this stock. We did miss another one here, so we have the lower high, higher low, and then a breakout. But nonetheless, these are all cherry picked. There's still the potential for I called it a breakout type trade, I believe, on the tweet I made. So a breakout type trade, we are looking for continuation up and above that 1320. I believe we made a double top by 1 penny, so the high of Friday was 1319. So maybe that 1350 psychological level, looking for a potential hourly close above that pivot level. So you can see that we have made an hourly trend here, impulse wave to the upside, higher low, and we're looking for that hourly trend change confirmation. So this is how you stack different time frames on top of each other to find the best possible entry. So looks like the hourly chart will pull back a little bit here. Maybe we'll get some support from this volume shelf, and then we'll look for a strong hourly close above that 1320, 1350 level, high bull volume, ideally something like this, or wherever that 15-minute trend change was. I think it was here, yeah. So we get a bull volume tick like this, that would show me that there is a potential breakout underway, and so that's what I will be looking for when considering an entry on ALDX. So OPTT. So looking at the fundamentals, this is actually a pretty cool company. So the Power Boyu system integrates patented technologies in hydrodynamics, electronics, energy conservation, and computer control systems to extract the natural energy in ocean waves. The result is a leading-edge, ocean-tested, proprietary, autonomous system that turns wave power into reliable, clean, and environmentally beneficial electricity for offshore applications. I mean, they sold me with that. It sounds pretty interesting. And I looked up what that even is, and that's their technology here. So I guess it's just providing energy for offshore drilling sites and some stuff like that. But pretty cool, right? I mean, harnessing the ocean waves for green energy. I love these technologies. I love these companies showing a lot of innovation, and obviously in the renewable energy space, this is the future, right? This is the type of innovation that's going to drive humanity forward away from non-renewable energy sources like oil. So very good. I love when these stocks set up. And obviously OPTT is doing just that. So looking at the PowerPoint here. So it's an EQ setup. You can see we have a strong impulse wave to the upside. Strong impulse wave to the upside. Pull back here, lower high, trying to make a higher low. But I noted on Twitter that you can tell price is so bullish because it's just riding another EMA, maybe the 13. Yeah, riding the 13 EMA above the 21. So the price doesn't even want to pull back all the way here. And we're making a nice pattern here. You can see obviously we got the equilibrium here. So I will look for this to break out in the near-term future. It has 11% short flow, which is notable, right? It's not crazy, but it's definitely going to help propel the price forward if this thing gets going. Strong fundamentals, as I mentioned, renewable energy company, high bull volume. You can see that here. Strong bull volume accumulation, especially back in here. We have 150 million shares traded on 2 different days back in October. So that's definitely propelling this this company forward. So whenever it sets up, when you see that type of institutional ownership, that's notable. And then also looking for specifically a 15-minute trend change. This isn't like best setup. This is more for a 15-minute trend change. This is more of a breakout setup, so it would look for an hourly close above the high of 615. But nonetheless, we can jump in a little bit early. Use the fundamental and the technical aspects to assume that we're going to have a bullish entry or a bullish continuation from this type of stock. So you can see how I said earlier, right? We're just holding above that 21 EMA. Looking at the 13 EMA is probably a little bit better. So we're holding that 13 EMA excellently here. And we do have a 15-minute trend change that's already ensued. So we have the lower high, higher low, and then the break, that trend change. But where price is right now is right around at that level. So jumping in makes sense because, I mean, we're pretty much buying where we would have bought before. So looking for that continuation. You could wait potentially for that break of the 540 level, which is definitely a play, but I would prefer to buy as close to the EMAs as possible, especially on these non-breakout type trades, right? We have the breakout trades where we're buying into momentum, hoping for a strong impulse wave out of the consolidative pattern. And then we have these holy grail type setups where we're looking to buy low and sell as the price is breaking out, not looking to necessarily capitalize on the full extent of the breakout because we have such a good buying price. We have such a good cost basis, nice and low, rate at support, and then getting continuation from there. So buying these 50-minute trend changes is very, very effective for that type of strategy. So buying in this level in particular would be nice because it's pretty much where the 50-minute trend change took place off of the 13 EMA. So you're getting a good price for it, essentially is what I'm trying to say. Ultimately, the targets are going to be right around that 859 level based off the Fibonacci extensions. Takes them off around the all-time high. I believe that's the all-time high. Nope. Takes them off around the previous high here at 730. Could be a potential play, but ultimately targeting the 843, 913 level. And I believe that's most of OPTT. Next ticker is ICE. So ICE, it's a very interesting stock here. So I look at the fundamentals right away. So Intercontinental Exchange, it operates as a global, that operates global exchanges, clearinghouses, and provides mortgage technology, data, and listing services. I didn't actually know that this stock was in this type of industry when I tweeted it out, but looking at the fundamentals, I like it. So ARK actually has a sizable position in this. I should have brought that up to show you guys, but you can do the research yourselves. It looks like ARK has a sizable position in this name, so obviously they're quite bullish on it. Now, this is an interesting stock because this is a little bit different from the technical breakdowns that I like to post, but I've incorporated that fundamental aspect with looking at which hedge funds are buying it, if there's hedge fund ownership and interest, with just a technical overview, not accounting for the volume. So we do see, good bull volume earlier in this impulse wave, but recently we just seen a surge of bear volume, and we had a disappointing earnings release at the beginning of the month. Now, this is still shaping up very well for me. We can see that we have an impulse wave to the downside, lower high, but it looks like the bulls are trying to make a higher low. Now, I had a follower on Twitter ask, is it still a buy even though it's below the 21 EMA? And we can just change that to the 50 EMA and look at what we see. Price is bouncing right at that 50 EMA, even if you use the Fibonacci level of 55. Now I know we're cherry picking here, trying to find the best possible EMA to use, but we're still holding a very strong and prominent EMA that's been tested for the first time since mid-November. So with that in mind, what we're looking for from a technical breakdown here is we are looking for that trend change. So like I said, we have that lower impulse wave, to the downside, the lower high, and now we're looking for the higher low compared to 108.95. This is actually the perfect area to buy. We can see that we have larger candles. Davis Trades made a great tweet about this. Large candles on the way down, and now as we're approaching support, we have smaller wick candles. We have an inside bar forming on Friday, so looking for that high of 111.49 or the low of 110.31 for directional confluence. We can use the Fibonacci extension to illustrate that we are bouncing a little bit lower than the golden pocket here, so not ideal, but still from a technical overview, it looks very good here. So like I said, ARK has a substantial position in this stock, although it doesn't have great volume. I am looking for that 15-minute trend change. So zooming in on the 15-minute chart, we have clear 15-minute trend change on Friday. So we had the low, lower high, higher low, and then break the 110, 111 psychological level with increasing bull volume. Guys, this is exactly what I want to see in these 15-minute trend changes. Clearly defined higher low and increasing bull volume. And honestly, if we can get below that EMA and make these type of trend changes, that's what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for a bearish signal, the break of the EMA, but a bullish pattern, in this case the 15-minute trend change, to confirm that people want to buy these levels. And that's what we see here with ICE. So if you get any pullback to kind of that 111 area, that could be a potential area of confluence. But hopefully we can see some of that before we have continuation to the upside. Now my potential targets are lower, right? So this is the exact example of buying into the weakness and selling at the top of like the accumulation, if that makes sense. So we're buying into weakness here and then selling right around the all-time high or the previous high at 120 and taking a profit before we actually see any more breakout. So it's just a quick trade, taking advantage of a clear pivot low, so stop below that 108 level, and hopefully we can get a good move out of it. Skills is the next ticker that we are watching here today. So this is a great stock. Like this is a great technical setup. We can see here, actually we'll dive into the fundamentals first. So Skills, so what does Skills do? I didn't even actually know, but essentially Skills offers software that helps take a regular mobile game and turn it into an esports phenomenon. So sounds pretty good to me. And they just teamed up with the NFL. And where was the details of this? So I guess it's driving convergence of traditional and online sports for Skills. This agreement will introduce hundreds of millions of NFL fans to the leading esports platform. So very, very bullish partnership with the NFL here. Great fundamental news that dropped on February 4th, which is why we got this extreme bull move here. So this is a power earnings gap play. Although it's not earnings, it's still essentially the same thing. We have a huge uptick of bull volume here, causing a gap up. Now price is pulling back. We'll use the 13 EMA because it's a little bit more reliable. So pulling back to the 13 EMA and to this gap pivot here set on the 4th of February. Now everyone says typically stocks like to pull back and fill the gap entirely, and if that's the case, then we have the 20 EMA there acting as support. But nonetheless, this is another stock that we can zoom in on the 15-minute chart and try to find a trend change. So as price approaches that 13 EMA, we can see that we tried to get the trend change, couldn't really get it, so now we're seeing a low here. If we can break over that 38.75, that would be good enough for me for an entry. Or if we roll over here, make a higher low compared to this pivot down here of 36.11, break the interim pivot high, then that's ultimately the ideal trend change. But we can see here RSI is a little bit oversold. So this is kind of like a discount price. We see an uptick of bull volume in the last two candles of Friday's session. A lot of good things overall. And we can, like looking on the 15-minute chart, all I see are bull volume beats throughout this entire price structure. So it does go to show me that obviously for obvious reasons there's a bullish sentiment based off the fundamental news of this company. It's a good company overall, so I would expect upsides from here. So watch that trend change for a potential power earnings gap play. And the target 49, just front running that $50 psychological level. Personally, I think it's a bit of a stretch that we'll see this. Like I don't know how bullish the stock could get. We do have earnings early next month, so a couple weeks away. So I think price might just continue to develop in some price structure before them. But we might get up to the 45 level, 44 level. So front run that previous all-time high for a good move to the upside here. That's a potential play, but again, I do think price might continue to develop or might just continue sinking down to fill this gap level until earnings is released. That could be a very, very possible play that comes to fruition. So looking at the next stock here, SFIX. So I did make a tweet, and I'm pretty sure I did a video about this one too last week, but another another holy grail here. So looking at the fundamental aspects. So what does SFIX actually do? Pretty interesting. So their CEO was talking to Goldman Sachs. This is what she said. We've done surveys on this, and sometimes like more than half of the people who live in the United States don't like shopping. There's no other kind of apparel commerce player out there that actually caters to that customer. So the core service ships a personalized mix of merchandise picked by a combination of machines and human stylists or fixes. People only pay for items they keep, and shipping for return products is free. So pretty, actually very cool service in the fashion industry, basically letting people pick from home what they actually like, and being able to send it back for free is definitely a huge bonus. So they have strong fundamentals. I wrote here disruptive business model in the fashion industry, and that's exactly what this is. That's Kathy Wood's entire business model for her ARC fund is disruptive technologies, disruptive businesses, and this is one of them. Right now, you can shop from home with utmost convenience as opposed to going to the mall, especially in COVID, when during the COVID pandemic where you're not allowed outside the house, or at least, some people are not allowed outside the house. So we have this holy grail type setup here, strong impulse wave to the upside, and we're bouncing right off the 21 EMA right now. Now this is pretty interesting. So we can see how history repeats itself. We have this incredible amount of bull volume accumulation as a result of their earnings. Massive earnings surprise, power earning gap, pulled back to the 21 EMA, made a W pattern, and broke out substantially. This is the second retest of the 21 EMA. And if history is going to repeat itself, it's going to be now. So we can use like a wave theory to analyze this. We have the first impulse wave, second pullback, third impulse wave. I said that completely wrong. We have the first impulse wave, first pullback, second impulse wave, second pullback. So we're on wave 3 right now. This is wave 4, looking for that fifth wave continuation to the upside. Now, I'm no Elliott wave theorist. That's just kind of the basic premise of it all. So I would expect more continuation to at least 113, retest this previous high here. Now, what I am looking for is that 15-minute trend change. Now, ideally, again, this is the cherry pick type version here, but we have 15-minute trend changes in a bullish circumstance with a break of the 21 EMA. So bull showing that, or in a bearish circumstance with a break of the 21 EMA. So bull showing that there is a lot of interest at these levels. We have a couple other 15-minute trend changes around, but ultimately the biggest one was this impulse wave here above 85.70. So we're below that level right now. We have strong bull volume coming up, and again, we just see consistent bull volume beats throughout this price structure here. So buying at these levels makes perfect sense. I think it's a very good stock, very disruptive, a company with a high level of potential from a fundamental aspect, but it's also showing up as a very technical stock as well. So we have the impulse wave to the upside, making a higher low compared to 83.68. So if we see continuation over 87.87, that could be a buy signal. Or if we see a lower high, higher low, that could be a buy signal. That would be ideal. Try to get the best price possible. But anything at these levels is good, in my opinion. And then ultimately the target 113, I have it posted just a front run of the all-time high, but we might see more continuation all the way up to 127, 136 area. So keep an eye on that. And the last stock that I am going to be sharing with you guys today, TDOC. So this is a great one. So from fundamental perspective, what does Teladoc Health do? It is a telemedicine and virtual healthcare company based in the United States. Kathy Wood loves this stock, so if Kathy loves it, I love it. This type of fundamentals are very disruptive. This is, I think it's like her second biggest holding in one of her individual ETFs. So obviously very bullish sentiment from that regard. Very disruptive communication, or very disruptive company, especially in the age of COVID. This is like an ideal type of company to be buying it. So we do have a bit of a ascending triangle here, loosely drawn out like that. And we are eyeing this 300 breakout. So that's very telling. We have a strong impulse wave, brief pullback, higher high technically, but still not getting any follow through over 300. So potential little bull flag going on here, although it's not prettiest bull flag I've ever seen. So we are looking for that breakout over 300 psychological, based off the volume that we have leading up into this consolidative move. I would anticipate a strong impulse wave from here. I have targets of 330 and 350 ultimately. I think a 350 is very, very likely based off this company. You know ARK's going to be buying this breakout, so it's going to have that hedge fund momentum behind it. Overall, I think TDOC can be a great winner. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned something a little bit today, and have yourselves a great rest of the weekend. I will talk to you later this week.